Change the look of your mesh by clicking the Material button here to view and select from several materials known as Matcaps to apply to your model. In order to paint your model, start by selecting a light color Matcap like Skin Shade 4. Open the Polypaint tab in your Tool menu and press the Colorize button. This will make your mesh paintable. Next, select the paintbrush and your color of choice with the color wheel here. Now you're set to start painting on your model. The resolution of your paint is determined by the poly count of your model. Divide your model to increase the resolution. Flood your entire mesh with a single color by opening the color menu and select your color of choice. Once done, press the Fill Object button here. Make sure your RGB intensity slider is at 100 to perform a full opaque color fill. Use either the pop-up menu or interface sliders to edit the paintbrush settings. Use a focal shift slider to switch between sharp edge paintbrush or a soft edge paintbrush. Use RGB intensity slider to control the amount of paint flow coming through your brush. Turn your smooth brush into a blur brush by holding the Shift key to activate. Now, disable the Zadd button here. This will disable the smooth brush's ability to smooth geometry. Remember to turn this back on in order to smooth geometry. View only your model's paint information by opening the Render menu and press the Flat button here. This removes all the shading from your model. Return back to normal shaded view by pressing the Preview button here. Toggle your Polypaint on and off with the Colorize button here. Let's paint our mushroom set here, starting with the Skin Shade 4 Matcap on. I'm going to pick a light cream color and use that for our stems. Just hitting the Fill Object to flood the whole mesh. I just use the selection tool to isolate the caps. Now with a reddish orange color, I'm going to go ahead and press Fill Object with this selection visible. I'll apply red to only the visible portions of the mesh. Just bring back everything else now. Next, I'm just going to click and drag from the color wheel to sample that cream color. I'm going to apply that to the underside of our caps here. And just loosely moving it all the way around. And I'm going to do the same here to this one. Be aware of the size of your brush because it can go through your mesh, and paint on the back side. Just going to use our selection tool to hide that cap so I can easily paint the last one here, like so. Alright, now we got that done. Let's go ahead and bring everything back. Let's go ahead and isolate the caps again. I'm just gonna click and drag to sample that red color. And now I'm just gonna make it a bit darker. So I'm gonna add a bit of a darker color around the edges of our mushroom caps just to add a bit of variation here. You can do whatever color combination you want. Maybe yours are purple or yellow or something like that. And just moving along between these caps here, just loosely following that. Keep in mind your RGB intensity will affect how much paint comes through. So if you want maybe a lighter application, you can lower your Z intensity, or you can just work from background to foreground color to give yourself a better transition. Alright. I think that's pretty good. Got that just about wrapped up. Then we're going to apply one more red color here before we move on to another color. I'm going to go up to the top here and make sure Backface masking is enabled on my paintbrush. And this will make sure you don't paint the backside of your mesh with large brushes. Now we're going to pick a brighter red, and I'm just going to paint that right at the peak of our mushroom caps here. Once again, just for variation. Alright, now we got that done. I'm just going to click and drag to sample that stem color again. And now I'm going to take some time and apply that color to these little bumps that we sculpted onto our mushroom caps here. Like so. All the way around. Can really get some good value out of polypainting in ZBrush. It's really easy to grasp. Alright, I think that does that on that one. And of course we'll use the same color on the other dots on the other caps here. Now we got that all done. I'm going to use Control click to unmask the base here. And now with a brownish color, I'm just filling out here. I'm going to go ahead and fill object on that and then clear my mask to see what it looks like. I think that works pretty well together. Now let's select that cream color again, and I'm going to desaturate it a bit, and I'm just going to kind of sculpt in, not sculpt, but paint in some areas here, mostly in the crevices, just to give us some extra values in here, so that it's not just a flat color. We added a couple values to the cap, so we gotta at least do 2 on the stem here. Alright, I got those all painted. Let's go ahead and move on. Sample that dark red color, make it a bit darker. Alright, now with a smaller brush, I'm just gonna paint in some of these crevices along the edges of the mushroom cap. Just trying to add a bit more detail here, like so. You can do that everywhere or sparingly all around your mushroom caps. And now with that part all done, let's go up to the render menu, and you can press flat to view just your color information, something to check out every now and then and see where you might want to add more values, and just turn back to render to view it as normal. Polypainting your model is a great way to up the presentation value of your models or to spec out colors for a project down the line.